Lodi residents and friends of social media. Welcome to the Lodi Show, episode number 5. And we are here today with Lodi's own, the Individuals. And we're going to meet them in just a minute. They're here to talk about Lodi, and they're going to perform for us today. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. So right off the bat, let's do some introductions. We have Mr. Glenn Liacano on the drums.
How are you, sir?
We have Kenny Rocha on guitar and vocals. We have Mr. Joey Bartoloni on guitar and vocals. We have Tony Curatola from Fort Lee on the bass. And we have Paul Noska on the keyboards from Poland, but our cousin right next door living in Garfield. Hello guys, how's everybody doing tonight?
How are you?
All right, glad to finally get together.
Thank you for having us. That's right.
The COVID put a little damper on us getting together, and
We're here.
but you're here.
That's it.
So first off the bat, as you heard me, I introduced Tony and Paul from Fort Lee and Garfield. The other 3 members are from here, right here from Lodi, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about Lodi, where they came from, where they resided, where they went to school, and then we're going to talk about their musical influences and how they got into the band. So, Glenn and I have known each other probably for
Forever.
Glenn is from the Woodmere section, and why don't you?
Well, it all started back when I was probably 12 years old. My brother, God rest his soul, was a great guitar player, and then he influenced me, and I picked it up with the drums, and struggled to get my mom struggled to get the first set of drums for me, and it went on from there.
But you are from where in Lodi? Where were you?
Blue Ridge Road, good old Blue Ridge Road.
Blue Ridge Road.
Yep.
Blue Ridge Road.
Yeah, that's where it all started, in the basement over there.
And I can only assume you went to school at Washington School.
Washington School. Yep.
Did you go to? You went all the way through 8th grade in Washington.
8th grade, and then Lodi High School.
And then to Lodi High School. Yep. All right. Ken,
Yes,
where are you from?
Lodi.
I know.
No, I grew up in DeVries Park, and I went to Wilson School. And I actually ended up later on in life moving right next door to Glenn's mother in the Woodmere section.
On Blue Ridge.
On Blue Ridge Road. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's funny.
Wilson School was a lot of fun. Just ask Mrs. Miscana.
A lot of mischief.
A lot of mischief.
I ain't going there.
A lot of mischief.
All right, Joe. Where are you originally from?
Joe, what's it to be? From Hamilton Avenue, Lodi. I went to Columbus,
Columbus School.
and of course Lodi High School. But when I started my high school, it was the middle school.
Okay.
Now I'm showing my age. Man. Yeah.
Did you graduate from?
Actually, I quit, went back. I really didn't graduate with the class. They mailed me my diploma.
At least you got.
You know, the scary. At one point, he said, "Joe, this is not a game."
Yeah.
No. That tiny little office, it was like a runway. He goes, "Not this time." I go, "God, I only had like 6-7 months to go. I'm fine." He goes, "You're gonna graduate, but you're not going with the class." I'm like, "Oh, my fault." You know, when you're young and stupid, you know,
Absolutely.
you think you know it all. I really knew nothing then.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
And you guys are still from Lodi, still living in Lodi.
Yes,
yeah.
lifetime
Proud of
Lodi
it.
residents.
Oh, yeah.
Love this town, this community, I really do. And I'm raising now my 2 kids in town, went through public school too.
As did I.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Right around the block from each other.
That's right.
All right, let's talk a little bit about our musical influences and how you guys got to play the instrument that you're playing currently. I mean, Glenn, you started telling the story that
John Bonham was my influence from
John
Led
Bonham.
Zeppelin. He was, I slept 8, believe me, John Bonham was everything to me. So was Led Zeppelin, and that has a little bit to do with my style,
Right.
and the way I play, because I was brought up with him on both shoulders.
So John Bonham from Zeppelin was your main man.
My guy.
And we spoke a little bit about it this morning when you came to set up the drums. You spoke about your other drum set that you did have was.
Bruce Sparkle Rogers. Yeah.
But talk about the drums that they resemble John Bonham's, the
Oh,
orange.
the Vistalites.
Yeah, the Vistalites,
Yeah,
yeah.
those were plastic drums. And great bottom to them, but after a while I grew out of them. And I had to have them drums because John Bonham had orange drums.
Right, and that was from Song Remains the Same.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was. You know
If
your
you're a Led
music.
Zeppelin fan,
Yeah.
know your
he
music.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so if you're a Led Zeppelin fan and you ever saw the movie The Song Remains the Same,
That's the
in there,
drums. Those are the
That's
drums.
John Bonham is playing a set of translucent
Yep.
orange drums.
Vista lights.
And I remember years ago,
Oh, yeah.
we used to have
That
all
was
those
I
bad.
remember those drums.
great
Huh?
old drums.
Remember those
Oh,
drums?
yeah.
That's how far
Big
back
drums.
we go.
Oh, yeah. You know, back in ways.
And Ken, your musical influences?
I'll tell you what, this is how it started. I started taking guitar lessons from Mr. Ross.
Me too.
He was a
Holy
country
mackerel,
western
I didn't
guy.
know that. I took
Oh,
guitar
yeah,
lessons from
country
Mr. Ross.
western
The whole line, you know?
Yeah.
And I learned how to read, learned how to play. So I asked my neighbor who he can, because I was listening to Elvis, and Elvis is great, I love Elvis.
Yeah.
Glenn Campbell, I'm like,
Yeah.
Louie, I'm like, what rock and roll albums should I buy? He's like, go out and buy Black Sabbath, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll, Jeff Beck Wired, and Aerosmith Rocks.
Wow.
That's where you need to start, and that's where it all started. And just kept on going, kept playing.
Aerosmith Rocks, that's probably one of my favorite.
Great, probably one of the best
Great.
albums.
Roger's
Great
a
album.
seller.
Yeah.
Great album.
Great band.
You know what I forgot to ask you about? How old were you when you started playing the drums?
I, 76, 73, my brother,
You were really young.
I was probably 11 years old.
11.
You imagine.
11,
You
12
playing
years old. It was
Led
weird
Zeppelin,
because
then
Joe
you
came
had
to
these
play with my brother Guy, God rest his soul, and Joe heard me downstairs
That-
beating
yes.
the drums. I had the
That is
headphones
true.
on, and that's how we actually hooked up a few years
Yeah.
down the road, me and Joe.
Wow.
Because he heard me.
I'll tell you what happened, Aunt, is Danny H. took me over to meet Guy. This guy was a great guitar player,
He's
very
a
soul. We were upstairs, and Glenn was downstairs with the headset on, you know, with the old curly wire going to
Oh,
the
yeah.
stereo.
Playing Zepp.
That's how far back I'm going. And me and Danny and Guy were upstairs, and we said, what is that we hear downstairs? We didn't hear Led Zeppelin. We only heard Glenn playing because he had the headphones on. And me and Danny were like, there's John Bonham in the basement. No, really, me and Danny go, and the guy's like, oh, that's my little brother playing. We're like, me and Danny just looked at one
There
another,
was
and the
music
light went
throughout
off.
the whole house.
We're like, what? Wait a minute, can we go down here and see this? Down the steps, and here's Glenn. With the headset, I never even looked up. And me and Danny just stood there with our mouths open.
And then we started playing music.
And we started playing.
So you were,
Yeah.
how old were you, 11 you said?
Probably 11 going on 12.
Okay.
somewhere
I
in
can
there.
remember 1978, because Mr. Ross used to date the book.
I had to buy up the book too.
We all
Mr.
started
Ross had
young.
passed away a few years ago.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah, he passed away.
sad.
He's my guitar
Great
teacher.
guy.
Yeah, he wasn't very
Great
nice
guy.
guy. So Joe, your musical influences.
Oh, God. Actually, I was probably raised more on country and blues, believe it or not. A lot of people went the other way. They saw the Beatles and the Stones, which was a big influence on me. But I was pretty fortunate. My father played, my grandfather, and my brother.
Wow.
And I was hearing it probably when I came out, the doctor slapped me. I think I was a fan then.
Right.
I think when my
Slap
I think when
at
my
first.
parents took me home, there was probably Hank Williams playing.
Wow.
Then Elvis, Little Richard, and it just went. But I actually heard blues before I heard the Beatles and the Stones
Right. Right.
because of my father's records.
And he was a big blues guy?
Country, but he loved everything. He used to play at Palisades Park. I don't know
Wow.
if you remember. Yeah. Every Saturday they had a show. They called it, believe it or not, the Mountain Dew Hour. I mean, you know, Soda Pop
Yeah.
sponsored it. And he played with Smokey Warren and Shorty Warren. He played bass and guitar. And they would air it live every Saturday on the air.
Wow.
For 6 months, I thought Cousin Brucey was my real cousin. Calls everybody cousin.
Yeah.
We were driving home in a station wagon once, and I'm in the back going, hey, he's fun, our cousin Bruce. And my father goes, what cousin? What are you talking about? My mom's, he calls everybody cousin. He's not your real cousin. I'm like, what do I know?
So then how old were you when you actually picked up the guitar to
Oh,
start?
God. I don't know, 4 or 5.
Really?
Nice.
Wow.
But I really didn't get play into maybe 6, 7, something like that. It was good for me because I tried to keep up with my father and my brother.
Right.
They just started me with a couple chords.
So if anything, your father and your brother were your influences then.
Totally. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And my father could put the guitar down for a year, pick it back up, and play maybe 30, 40 songs at the top of his head.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Lyrics and music, and I, trying to keep up with him. And my brother was getting very accomplished at that point. He had 5 years on me, so that meant a lot.
Tony,
Yeah.
what are some of your musical influences, and how old were you when you started playing the bass?
My brother's 9 years older, and he was a bass player, and so 9 years older puts him at like playing the Woodstock era and like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he was playing in a band called Young Republic, and he was like, I don't know, 17 or so, 18 in 1969, give or take. And so the bass was like always around, this tall case. You know, man, and I'm just like this little guy, but I see them, and it's got these big tuner things, which are very attractive when you're like
Right.
6. I want to turn those, man,
Of course.
So I would like, when they would stop, rehearsing or something, I'd grab it and start turning the things, and I had fun with it. It was like a toy first, and it was bigger than me too, a lot bigger than me. And then my brother just kind of put it down, and he went off to college and did some other things, but the bass was still there, and so this is like, there's no Atari, there's no Pong, there's nothing.
Right.
man,
No cell phone.
no cell
No
phones.
computer.
You gotta like do stuff
Right.
on your own.
Right.
So I started to like mess around with it and play it because it was there. It sounds like a silly answer, but I started playing because I always wished that he played the flute because it was small. I didn't have to drag this
And
thing.
that's what Glenn was saying when he had to bring in all the drums
The
there.
harmonica would have been good for
I'll
him.
walk in with a
But
case
let
like
me ask you a
this.
question though, Tom. Who was actually like a musical influence?
Yeah, well, so I'm
Because
getting
bass, I mean, not everybody,
No, but
bass
listen,
players are musical
yeah,
influence.
but you grew up in the 70s like I did, and you listened to Zeppelin,
Yeah.
and you listened to John Paul Jones,
Oh,
he's bass bass player.
Yeah.
And you listen to
Yeah.
Yes, that's Chris Squire, bass player. Let's
Absolutely.
move on to the Who, John Entwistle,
Yes.
bass player. So when I grew up, you had to know how to play that thing. Man.
Right.
You couldn't just go boom, 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 because people said you sucked.
Right.
Like, what do you mean
Yeah.
you can't play the Lemon song from Zeppelin?
Yeah.
Or what do you mean you can't play a 515 from the Who? What do you mean you can't go doom, 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 no, man, I go boom, 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 boom. No, man, that wasn't cutting it. So there was a pretty high bar when I was a kid
Very.
growing up in the 70s for bass players.
Mm.
Because of those guys,
Right.
and you guys were talking about Zeppelin, you got John Paul Jones, man. I mean, who keeps up with Bonham? A guy like
Right.
John Paul
Yeah.
Jones.
Right.
His father was a piano player, and he would always listen to the
That's right.
left hand.
Right.
So he picked up all the bass lines. So you had to really learn how to play. So I took lessons. I learned
Right.
to read, and I had influences like Dizzy Gillespie and all those guys, the horn players. I was like, well, hey man, I could learn how to play that on my bass. How do you play it on it? So once I figured out that you could start to do this really crazy stuff on the bass, it's a low bar, man. It's everywhere. It's easier than guitar. It's got 4 strings. Sure, but not if you're playing Dizzy Gillespie on it, or
Right.
not if you're playing a Lemon song.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I realized early on that you could excel, and I feel like I do excel. And there's a lot of guys,
Me too.
There's a lot of guys way beyond me, but I always wanted to feel like, I never wanted to feel like this cat's got 6 strings so he could do more than me. Nah, man, that don't fly in my world.
No.
I try to hang with him.
Me too.
Just gotta play a little higher up the neck,
Yeah.
So that was always that was always my thing. And then I don't have to tell you, like when you get into high school, you figure out girls like guys in bands. Well, that was it, man.
Of course.
That was it.
We're talking about how old? Do you remember how old
Yeah,
you were?
well, yeah. I was when I really started to play it, I'd say I was about 14 or 15 years old.
14.
I did the jock thing in high school as a varsity wrestler for Fort Lee at 108, which
Wow.
was 2 people ago.
Wow, I
And
didn't-
that was my sophomore year, and I placed in the regions and all that. At 108, I'm this like little guy, But then I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to just play the bass and play with the guitar players that were hanging out. So junior year, I went in the wrong direction. So I would say junior year of high school, I started to take it serious.
Okay. And Paul, on the end, what was some of your musical influence? I mean, especially being that you're from Poland, I mean, different aspect of music over there, and what were some of your influences?
It's hard to say for me what kind of music I like because it depends of the day. But
Yeah.
especially I like Whitesnake, Guns N' Roses.
Whitesnake, let me just say,
Yeah.
is probably one of, now,
Yeah.
you're a Deep Purple fan also.
Yes,
Naturally from David Coverdale being from Deep
So,
Purple.
but also Eric Clapton or Phil Collins. It depends of the day.
He
So.
can play in a lot of styles, of course.
Always an angel from heaven for us.
Yeah.
And if I could say, Tony is an accomplished jazz player. He's very modest, and he actually did a short time at Berkeley.
Mm.
And his knowledge of theory goes way beyond
Musical
way
theory.
beyond us.
Yeah.
So you went to Berkeley
But he
as,
could
as
go
a jazz
to-
player, or?
Yeah, well, I just, I try not to talk, there's only a semester. and
He's
I-
so
I
modest.
didn't do the greatest at it, it wasn't for me, man, I wasn't really ready for it.
He's a brain at music theory.
But
put
I
it
did,
that way,
I did
yeah.
realize, like,
Yeah.
I always realized, like, from those guys, I was like, wow, there's a lot I don't know.
Mm.
And knowing what you don't know allows you, if you're humble, it allows you to go and learn the stuff you don't know. You know,
Yeah.
the worst thing you could say is, I know it all, no, I know that,
Oh,
you know,
no.
I could do that. Oh, yeah. Well, go to Berkeley and look at these guys, you realize what you don't know.
What a school.
So I went up there and
Gotta be
realized what I
brilliant.
didn't know, and I booked out of there, I got back to New York, and I started playing in the clubs with heavy-duty cats, man.
Mm.
And, you know, maybe get beat up a little bit, you know, musically, but learning,
Mm.
and because I'm never the guy who says, hey, man, I can do that. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Because tomorrow I'm the guy who can do it, and you want to
Yes.
ask me how.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake I always tell younger players is thinking you know it when you don't.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's just a lot
It's
easier
not
to
that
say,
hard.
hey man, I'm not sure, I'm gonna learn how to do that, you know, and then you go ahead and do it, and then you become a cat that can teach other people how
Right.
to do it.
But speaking of Berkeley, I don't know, Glenn, if you ever saw the movie Whiplash. Have you ever seen the movie Whiplash? Phenomenal drum movie. It's
No.
basically the
gotta
kid,
check it out.
the kid goes to a school similar to
But the
Berkeley.
discipline is
Yeah.
berserk.
And it's all about drumming, and like he was in
that's
Buddy
cool.
Rich, and
But
Wow.
Rich, forget it.
Oh, God.
how the teacher, as a matter of fact, the teacher in the movie is the guy who does the farmers commercials,
Okay,
the insurance commercial there for farmers.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
He, as a matter of fact, he won the
Won that
Oscar
dude.
for the movie,
Wow.
Whiplash. So,
Well, I gotta check
especially
that
for the
out.
drummer, Whiplash
Yeah,
is the
I've never
movie.
seen it.
It's great.
It's, uh,
check it
I
out.
Great
heard, I heard
movie.
about it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Brutal.
So,
Yeah, I gotta check.
as the individuals, how did you guys, I mean, I know that you three played together before in different
years.
incarnations of different
Years.
bands
Yeah,
and
yeah.
names, and but how did you five get to meet as the individuals? How did you guys come about?
We were established already, me, Kenny, and Joe. I happened to stumble upon Paul and his wife watching Joe play one night acoustically in Garfield. And this gentleman came up to me with his wonderful wife and said, how can I get in a band with a guy like that? I said, what guy? He said, that guy with the hat.
And he sounded a lot like that when he said it.
So, one thing led to the other, and he didn't want to come that night. We called him, he was supposed to show up, he did show up, but he got a little like this in the beginning. We talked him into it, and like I said before, thank you, Jesus, he's been an angel to this.
He's
Oh,
great.
that's good.
He's
God
so-
put him
he's
there
so
for us.
great.
Thank you, brothers.
And
Yes.
he's modest. too.
And I mean that, you put a
Welcome,
lot to
Paul.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And how did
Thank you for
Tony come
bringing what you
into?
bring.
Tony, Kenny will explain that.
This is a bit of a story, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I can tell the whole story.
You give him the Reader's Digest version.
Yes, I met Tony
Keep it clean.
a couple of years back, and just what I was doing, he was into, but it just didn't seem to be working at that
The
time. He said,
original
listen,
thing, right?
I'll play with you in the future, give me a call anytime you want. And just so happened, I called him, first day, he's like, I'll be there. I said, I'm playing with some good players,
Mhm.
But what was
I'll
my
be there.
question? What was my question?
how's the drummer?
Oh.
Now, the John Paul Jones and the John Bonham thing, you could understand, these
Yes.
guys connect when we're playing. I mean,
Absolutely.
They connect.
Worst, Anthony, the worst thing for a bass player is to have to drag a drummer around.
Yeah.
Drag him around through songs, drag him around all night long. It's the worst thing. And at my age,
Yeah.
I just won't do it, man.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
important to me is the drummer. And this cat over here, man, he's a great drummer. He's unbelievable. He's way better than he even knows. And I don't want to tell him because his head is like as it is.
I got a really nice thing.
But that was always my, I mean, it doesn't matter how
Tony,
good
thank you.
anybody else is in the band. If the drummer sucks, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Without
That
a
was
doubt.
I gotta say though, Kenny's probably mostly responsible for actually putting this together and the bands too.
Mm.
And
You
Kenny's a
probably, you
prince, man.
rang
Kenny's
me
a
up
prince.
first.
Yeah, I ring him up, I call. I wanna
was-
do it.
I
I
was
wanna
home
play.
beating around and my wife goes, please,
Yeah.
get out of the house with that guitar.
Yeah.
Well, I know the three of you guys have been playing for
Forever.
many years together,
Yeah.
different,
It's
like I
been a
said,
great
different bands
ride.
and
Well,
in
back
different
then-
ways. But
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, let's talk a little bit about, as a kid, I remember, we
Yeah,
spoke a
yeah.
little earlier, as a kid, I remember growing up in Lodi and all the different bands that were either on the
Yeah.
avenues,
Right.
the Woodmere section,
Oh, yeah.
and over
There
here.
was a
I
lot
mean,
of them.
there was bands all
Yeah.
over the place
Oh,
growing
yeah.
up in this town. It was just like everybody
Before
had
we
a-
had
We had so many
responsibility.
places to
Right,
play.
before, so many
Yeah.
different bands, and I know you guys just did a little jam session up at the Cigar.
Sticks.
Sticks.
Yeah, we
That was
did a
in-
party, we got hired.
Compton
for-
Plains.
And that was with
23.
It was
Jack
great.
James,
It was
who
great.
was from Avenue B, and he
Yep.
was another
That's
phenomenal
right. And
guitar
Jimmy
player.
Pinetti's
Jimmy
great.
Jimmy
And
Pinetti.
Gavinelli got up and
And
did
Julio
it.
Gavinelli. And I
Great.
believe that the name of their band is the Jet H Park.
Jet H
Jet
Bar.
H.
So, I mean, I hope to get them in here and talk
That
about
would
it.
be
And
great.
very cool.
Bunch
So,
of great
Very
guys.
cool,
We
great
sold-
guys. Great
Again,
guys.
back then, it was just bands all over this town. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and then we naturally had the
Amazing.
Misfits, who I had Frank
Yeah.
in here a few weeks
Right,
ago, and we
right.
spoke about the Misfits. But as a kid growing up, I remember going to the different clubs in Lodi.
Yeah.
And the one that always, I mean, we had Someplace Else,
Yep.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
had
we played
we had
there.
Back Streets.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the one I always remember, it was probably the cheesiest
I
and
know what you're
shadiest.
gonna say.
And that was
Yeah.
City Lights
Oh,
on
yeah.
on Route 47. I mean, that was like, just like a
That was
dirty,
our home.
grungy,
They had-
hole-in-the-wall
They
club.
had bands on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and
Yeah.
Saturdays. You
Yes.
could go to
Hey, Glenn,
Pack 'em in.
I have to say,
Remember that day?
he went in there, let me tell him, this is funny now, this
It's
is
a true
a,
story.
Now, this
Say
is
it
at
the
City
way it
Lights, correct?
Yes.
But
Blow
just
your
before
mind, you gotta
before
picture.
for a
You
second,
were
before
with me.
you
I
say-
couldn't think who was with me. You were with me. Yep.
Before we get into this, just so that the people, because the town has changed so much.
Oh,
yeah.
City
yeah.
Lights is now where the Quick Check is on
Yes.
Route 46. And it was like this
East.
dive bar,
Great
hole-in-the-wall
parking.
bar.
Great party.
Great though.
And if I remember correctly, the neon sign was the New York City
Manhattan.
background.
Yes,
yes.
And
You
neon
remember
lights.
that?
Oh, I remember.
They tried to
I
be
remember
big
seeing
shots.
you guys there, that's
Yeah.
why I'm bringing it up.
That's
So,
amazing, man.
I remember seeing the Shaking Snakes there
Oh,
when,
yeah.
when you back
Oh
in
God,
that
we
day.
did a residency there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
We played a lot there. We packed that place every time we played.
So, now your
Well,
story.
Well, we went in,
That's how I came to
Glenn
play in
actually
a
went
band.
in there.
because
Glenn went to Craig, remember Craig? And he was a fireman
Yes,
in
Craig.
what? Was it
Fairview.
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 And you
Yes.
picture a young guy going in there going, we could put your place on the map.
We'll sell you out a beer, I told him.
So here, now,
That's clever.
being a good businessman, not throwing him out. What? This kid come up to me, he's gonna put my place on a map. They didn't even have bands. And he really needed to do something because he had a couple locals straight in, but it wasn't on the map. He
Yeah,
was
I
right.
love it. But
So I think you actually got the gig, the
I said
first
to him,
one.
please, just give us a chance.
And he started us, he goes, I gotta start you like on a Thursday, because this is a slow night, and we'll see what you can
So,
do.
give us
And
what
we
you
did
got.
well.
Give us what you got.
The next thing we know, okay, what are you gonna do next week? Can you play next week? We were there, what, every
Oh, yeah.
Thursday for a year?
Sold him out a beer.
Then he moved us to Wednesday.
Yeah.
We thought it was a downgrade, right? We were young. Come on, I'm gonna play on Wednesday. It's ladies' night.
Ladies' night, yes, it was. Yep.
We're like, oh, this is a dream come true.
We did good there.
It got better.
Someplace else too was good.
Yeah, now someplace else was on North Main Street and Avenue C.
That was fun too.
That was someplace else.
That's great.
But
And then
we
actually
really
Back
got our
Street
shot
was
at
on
City Lights.
Bork
Pork
Place.
place,
Yeah.
by the river.
So there was always, like, again, there was always music around, always a band playing, something going on.
absolutely.
Something going
The
on.
place was great.
A lot of good musicians out of Lodi.
Absolutely,
you know?
a lot of good musicians.
And we were, he kept, our salary kept going up. He was good with us.
And I ended up playing there with Richie Sav and Paul Gayman with no exception.
Yes,
Wow.
that's right.
Because of the Shaking Snakes.
Right?
Yeah.
This guy came up to me, Truth was playing there, Jimmy Pinetti, Anthony DiBenedetto, Henry Tantillo,
Scott
Scotty
Luna.
Luna. and they let me and Mike Morano come up and do one of my originals.
Yes, I remember
And
that.
we did that, and when I got down off the stage,
Great.
I loved it. And
It's great, Ken.
he goes, "You gotta make a band."
You
And I'm like, well, I don't know. I've never been in a band, and I found Rich. Rich's like, I only played for 6 months. I'm like, that's all right. Don't worry about it. We're gonna go
Let
play.
it roll.
Paul Gaywin, and there we were.
I feel at home here.
Good old Lodi.
It's a good community.
Pleasure
It is
to
a great,
It
great
is
town,
great.
great growing up.
And it
man.
still is.
It still is.
Think of all the
Still is.
talent that came out of this tiny
Wow.
little
Yeah.
community. I
Yeah.
mean, the misfits from here to the Madison Square
That's
Garden.
tremendous.
When you
That's
could sell out the garden, you made it.
God bless
No, that's
Jerry.
like I told
really
Frank.
made it.
That's
man.
like I told
Jerry.
Frank. I was there. We were at that. I was at that show. It
Tremendous.
was,
Glenn was always ahead of his time.
You would have kids on the corner on Grove Street
That's
saying,
tremendous.
Yeah, the
where's the
Misfits, they were
Misfits
looking for the-
practice?
yes.
Where did they practice?
Yeah.
Jerry deserves it. He's a beautiful person.
So just a couple more questions before we break and you guys can play live here.
Okay.
But, if somebody wants to follow the individuals on social media, how do they go about following anybody on social media? Do you have your own Facebook page,
Yeah, we do. We
Instagram?
got a Facebook page.
And that's under
the
the-
individuals.
So they can go under
The first ones that come up, you know, musician band.
Yeah. So so anybody wants to follow the band after you see them tonight, look them up on Facebook as the individuals. I know back in August 1st, you guys were supposed to play the Hilltop Tavern. That was
Yeah.
gonna
Yes.
be your unveiling and you're
Yeah.
coming out as the band as the individuals. And actually the COVID put that
Yes.
to the kibosh.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Any word of when or where you may be playing out live next, so we can get the
We've
Lodi
been
crew to come out?
fortunate. We've been hired for parties.
Yes.
At least we get some work on, you know.
But it's
and,
getting cold now.
Yeah, well,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That,
I know for Labor Day you were at Joey Russo's
Yes.
house, and
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
shout out
That's
to
great.
Joe.
Great job, Joe.
Great guy, Joe.
Yeah.
We had a great time
Oh, that
there.
was
good
great.
people, good party, good music. It was-
And then, like I
it was a
just said,
great
you
day.
guys played the cigar sticks.
Sticks.
Yeah.
And,
That was their 8th anniversary.
Pumpkin Plains.
Yeah,
It was last Friday.
Jack James put that whole thing together.
He's a great guy.
I mean, what a setup.
Great
He
guy.
brought the lights, his PA.
Best.
We worked our butts off that day, but it was worth it.
Yeah, you guys were in
Great time.
performance.
Great time. And what a great people, the owner. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he wants us back there, right? You know, he's like, come on back.
Well,
We're like,
that's
okay,
great.
next year. He's like, no, we want to do it sooner.
You're gonna have to go up there
So we'll
with
see.
coats on.
So if you enjoy
At
them
least the
and
mosquitoes
you want
won't
to
be-
follow the individuals and you want to check them out, hopefully they'll be playing Pumpkin Plains.
Yeah,
So we'll get some. We'll come
Soon
up with
at the
something.
cigar sticks, so check them out.
Somewheres.
All right, we're gonna break and they're gonna perform for us, so stick around, stay tuned. All right, Lodi, and now your own, the individuals.
Sitting there in the silver chair, talking to some rich folk that you know. Well, I hope you won't see me dragging you, 'cause you know I could never be alone. Take me down, little Susie, take me down. I know you think you're the queen of the underground. You can send me 10 flowers every morning. Send me 10 flowers by the million. Send me 10 flowers at my wedding. And I won't forget to put the roses on your grave. Well, when you're sitting back in your rose pink Cadillac, making bets on Kentucky Derby Day, well, I'll be in my basement room with a
Okay, thank you. We have a song that's very appropriate for this evening. You're gonna know it.
Right on.
Just about a year ago, I set out on the road, seeking my fame and fortune, looking for a pot of gold. Things got bad and things got worse, I guess you know too. Oh Lord, stuck in Lodi again. I rode in on a Greyhound, I'll be walking out if I go. I was just passing through, must be 7 months or more. Ran out of time and money, looks like they took my friend. Oh Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Yeah. And from the magazine said I was on my way. Somehow I lost connection, ran out of songs to play. Came into town on one night stand, looks like my meds fell through. Oh Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Magazine said I was on my way. Somehow I lost connection, ran out of songs to play. Came into town on one night stand, looks like my plans fell through. Oh Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Oh Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Oh Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Ain't that the truth? Glad to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, we're back. We're gonna send this one out to Mayor Luna. I think he's gonna like it.
Upstairs for a ride. gentlemen.
All right, Lodi, that's our own, the individuals. Guys, thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you
That's
for
a little-
having us.
A little parting gift.
Pleasure's
Each
ours.
member is going to get the Lodi Police Department Challenge coin. Here you go, Paul.
Thank you
very
so
much. Glenn, thank
Appreciate
you.
it so much, thank you.
Thank you
Joseph,
so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
It's an honor. Thanks.
It is.
I have it forever, thank you.
I will cherish it.
All right, so if you guys really enjoyed watching the individuals, hearing their story, check them out on Facebook. When they're able to go out and play, check them out, support them. They're our own from Lodi, the individuals. Lodi, stay safe, stay Lodi strong. Have a great day. God bless.